Meet Gruffshot. Again, Gruffshot is a dwarf hunter that I play in the retail version of World of Warcraft, and I've been documenting his adventures on my no commentary gameplay channel, Anoxmaly, since May of 2022. I'm Anoxmaly, and a few months ago I covered one of his adventures here on this channel that I called The Quest for the Hat. I would highly recommend watching that video before this one, since it lays a lot of the groundwork for what I'll be presenting today. If you've already seen it, then it's time for me to tell you about yet another one of Gruffshot's difficult journeys. First, a quick recap. World of Warcraft's current expansion, The War Within, released in late 2024. One of its new major features was Delves, short pieces of instanced content that can be done solo or in small groups. In Delves, you are accompanied by Bran Bronzebeard, an NPC that can be assigned different roles based on the needs of each individual player. Bran's capabilities can be improved either by leveling him up by going through Delves, or equipping him with curios that can be found as loot within the Delves. There are seasonal rewards that can be earned by completing Delves and by defeating an extremely difficult seasonal boss. Earlier this year, on February 25th, Major Patch 11.1 for The War Within was released with the name Undermine. In it, you visit the underground goblin city of Undermine. While there, you assist its downtrodden residents in toppling its villainous leader. On March 4th, a week after this released, Season 2 of the expansion officially began. With the new zone and season, new delves were added and a new seasonal boss became available to challenge. This story begins about a month after the quest for the hat left off. After that ordeal, I had spent most of March playing other games. But on March 27th, I returned and was introduced to Season 2 of Delves. This is the Delver's Journey, a seasonal reward track for Delves. It requires 42,000 points in total to complete it all. Delves can be run on 11 different tiers of difficulty. Every day, 4 delves around the map become bountiful. Completing these bountiful delves on tiers 4 through 8 will grant an amount of journey progress that increases with difficulty to a maximum of 150. Tiers 9 through 11 are considered to be more of an extra challenge and give different item and upgrade material rewards, but give identical journey progress to a tier 8 delve. Bountiful delves also spawn an extra chest that can only be opened with keys found by doing other types of content in the game. Opening these bountiful chests also gives some journey progress. After completing a bountiful delve, it reverts back to its non-bountiful form. After doing all 4 of your daily bountiful delves, you have to wait until the next daily reset for 4 new ones to appear. Additionally, once a week in delves of any tier, and regardless of if they are bountiful, you can find a key. Bringing this key back to the Delver's headquarters in Dornegal gives 1500 journey progress. Alongside the introduction to the season's Delver's Journey, there was also the introduction of the Season 2 Delve boss. Instead of just showing a hologram of the boss, this time you could play through a brief scenario, where Bran and another explorer are going through a delve. Inside the delve, they see several dead Nerubians. Then, a trap gets triggered, and in comes the Underpin. The Underpin steals all of the Season 1 delve curios, and then steals Bran's hat. So, Bran tasks us the player with defeating the Underpin and retrieving the stolen hat. In exchange, Bran will reward us with his spare hat, an actual head cosmetic this time. Season 2 would not be ending until August 5th, so I had plenty of time to work my way through the Delver's Journey and take down the Underpin. In the beginning of the season, I held off from visiting the new zone and stuck with the delves in the 4 launch zones. I did find that with the seasonal reset, I would also have to work my way back up to the higher tier delves, with tier 4 being the highest I could do at launch. The first delve I did of the season was Mycomancer Cavern at Tier 4. In it, a chef sent me on a scavenger hunt for several different cooking ingredients. After turning the ingredients in, a bog monster interrupted the award ceremony. It was easily defeated, and I received 52 journey progress for completing the delve. I was somehow in possession of a key and opened the bountiful chest. Interestingly, unlike last season, the journey progress granted by the chest was scaled based on the tier of bountiful delve done, so the chest only granted 105 progress. Next, I did a Tier 5 Nightfall Sanctum. It was filled with shadow traps that I could disperse using a symbol of light. Freeing captives from these traps was my first task in the delve. Next, I had to use the light to clear more traps as I went deeper into the sanctum, recovering stolen relics as I went. Finally, I had to confront the leader, Speaker Davenruth, and the shadow monster he summoned before dying. This delve granted 82 progress upon completion, and with another key I received 137 progress from opening the chest. Also, before this delve I had used an item named Delver's Bounty, which added an extra hidden trove chest at the end. Opening this chest granted 247 additional progress. Next, I went into a Tier 6 Fungal Folly. An Earthen scouting team had managed to get trapped by Fungarians, and the leader of the scouts sent me in to rescue them. After doing so, I defeated the head mushroom, Spinshroom. This delve granted 115 progress upon completion, and 172 from opening the chest. Also an improvement over Season 1, I received a chest at the end named Nemesis Strongbox. I am assuming that this was for defeating all groups of the Underpin's minions in the delve, and it granted me 69 progress when I opened it. In Season 1 there was no discernible reward for defeating Zekvir's minions, so this was a positive change that I noticed. I then did a Tier 7 Earthcrawl Mines. It was under the same scenario as when doing the initial leveling campaign. Nerubians had infested the mines and trapped several miners. I had to make my way through the mines, rescuing miners and exterminating Nerubians. Then, about halfway through the delve, I experienced something that I had not encountered a single time during Season 1. The seasonal delve boss, the Underpin, appeared.
Who are you? What are you doing on my property? Surprise! Now get out! Get out of the way!
All right, new directives. You take out the Nerubians ahead, and we'll follow behind.
People always messing around on my perfectly legal deeded land.
After a fiery explosion-filled skirmish, the Underpin retreated, leaving behind a pile of loot. As far as I can tell, this encounter had no effect on the Delver's journey, but the shoulder armor I got out of the pile was pretty good. The rest of the delve proceeded as normal, with defeating the Nerubian boss giving 150 progress, and the bountiful chest giving 210. The Underpin's pile of loot had given me another Delver's Bounty map, which I had used to get another hidden trove, which here gave me 330 progress. Add on top the Nemesis Strongbox, which gave another 84. Instead of proceeding to Tier 8 for the next delve, I didn't think my item level could handle it. So I stuck with Tier 7 for the next delve, Kriegwald's Rest. In it, Bran and I were joined by Bran's nephew Dagran, and we investigated some corrupted candles guarded by the kobolds within. After defeating a swarm that was upset with us touching their biggest candle, we headed to the bottom where the kobold leader, Tomb Raider Drywhisker, was waiting. Next I did the sinkhole, again at tier 7. In this delve, I went underwater and fought against Kobus that were attempting to take control of a sea leviathan. Once their plan was thwarted, I defeated their leader, Leviathan Caller. Next was again Kriegwald's Rest at tier 7, with this time's task being simply clearing out the kobolds. Drywhisker returned as the leader of these kobolds. Then I did Fungal Folly at tier 7, being tasked with clearing out decay-infused mushrooms. Spinshroom returned as the boss. Next again was the Sinkhole at tier 7, where this time I had to reclaim relics that the Kobus had stolen. The boss was Cragpie, some kind of electric eel anglerfish hybrid. I then went into the Dread Pit at tier 7. I was sent in to save Earthen from corrupted Earthen using a luring device. After that, I had to collect repair kits for something. At the end, I took down a Nerubian boss. Last out of this batch of delves, I did the Spiral Weave at tier 7. I was instructed to steal explosives from the Nerubians within, and then use those explosives to destroy their supplies. I then took down the boss, Overseer Caskel. All of the delves I mentioned in the previous section were done in about a 2-week span after doing the Season 2 delve introduction. But after that, I took an entire month off of doing delves on Gruffshot, and didn't return until June 21st. A few days before that, on June 17th, patch 11.1.7 had been released, which introduced a new delve mechanic. This new mechanic is Overcharged Delves. Every day, 2 of the bountiful delves across the world will be affected by this status. Doing research after the fact, there were apparently only a group of 6 delves that could potentially have the overcharged status. Being overcharged adds several Titan-themed enemies to the delves, and additional traps such as electrical pylons and shock mines. The patch added a questline related to the overcharged delves, which rewarded you with a belt that was at the time a very high item level for the average player. It also added a skill tree that could be progressed through by collecting Titan Disc Shards from the Titan enemies in the Overcharged Delves. Important for us today, maxing out this skill tree before the season ends is an achievement with a very nice reward attached. So, I began the questline and headed to my first Overcharged Delve, which would also end up being the first Tier 8 delve that I did on Gruffshot of the season. Of the choices, I went for the one closest to Dornegal at the time, which happened to be Fungal Folly. Right inside the entrance there was an overcharged Titan console, used to access the skill tree and turn in disc shards. This part of the quest to get the belt instructed me to acquire 50 Titan disc shards and defeat 8 Titan constructs. As for the normal delve scenario, it wanted me to find 5 members of the Explorers League inside the delve and complete little challenges for them. Partway through, I received a second invasion from the Underpin, though this time he cornered me with explosives and blew me up. After the challenges were all complete, the boss of Fungal Folly was once again Spinshroom. Completing the delve gave me a massive 450 journey progress, while the chest gave me 600. I'm pretty sure these numbers are just because a delve bonus event was going on. I also earned the Nemesis chest, which granted 240 progress. Additionally, I used the item to get a hidden trove, which gave 900 progress. The belt questline then made me use the shards I had found to buy one of the skills, and then tasked me with entering another overcharged delve to destroy 4 pylons. So I headed to do Skittering Breach at tier 8. At the very beginning of the delve, I went through a portal into the Shadow Realm. Within, I had to use a relic to destroy shadow totems. After that, I had to defeat a skulking monster that I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name of. After this, I returned to where Dagran was waiting in the Delver's headquarters. He handed over the Durable Information Securing Container, or Disc Belt, as many refer to it. This was a huge boost to Gruffshot's power, but that was just the beginning. A week later, I found that Dagran had another quest, one of the rewards of which was a card to boost the disc belt's item level. And now here's the part in the story where I was working on the first Quest for the Hat video. I had all the footage recorded for that video by June 25th. All those recordings were taking up space on my computer, so I couldn't record anything else until finishing that video. So began a month-long grind, which ended up getting the video released on July 26th. During that long break of not recording on Gruffshot, I had been playing a lot on my other characters. In fact, I had been playing those other characters so much that a few days before I had finished the video, on July 23rd, I already had the full Season 2 Delver's Journey completed. As such, I was able to acquire the max tier reward for it, the Nightfall Sanctum Warband login screen. But we still have a hat to get, don't we? I headed down to Undermine and made my way to the Demolition Dome, the delve that the Underpin called his home. As I did with Zekvir, I believed I would be able to do the single question mark difficulty within just a few tries.
All that's Undermine belongs to me, the Underpin. Even this sweet hat. I got a deed for these delves signed by Gallywix. Wait, does that say Gallywax? You know what? It don't matter. You don't look so tough from where I'm sitting. I rule with an iron fist! Tick tock, you interloping moose! Say hello to all my friends! I'll flatten you for what you've done!
A few moments into the fight, I noticed that Bran was not throwing out the healing potions I had him set up to do in delves before this. As I brought up in the previous video, this is pretty bad for me since the class setup I'm running with has very minimal self-healing.
I'll flatten you for what you've done!
Be careful!
I'm gonna give you till the count is 10. 1, 2, 10! I rule with...
Oh, don't go dying on me!
One attempt already down. I had gotten the Underpin down to 82% health, but while at very critical health had to resort to using Feign Death to stop Underpin from targeting me. The Feign Death doesn't trick these bombs, and my pretense became reality. I took a brief intermission to set up Bran with the correct roll and curios that I favored. Then it was on to the second attempt.
You don't look so tough from where I'm sitting.
Oh, Bran's got your back! Shut
Tick tock, you interloping moose! Say hello to all my friends! I rule with an iron fist! Tick-tock, tick-tock, you interloping moose! Time out! Time out! I rule with an iron fist! Tick-tock, tick-tock, you interloping moose! I'll flatten you for what you've done! Get in here! I ain't paying for you to stand around! I rule with an iron fist! Tick-tock, tick-tock, you interloping moose! I rule with an iron fist! Tick-tock, tick-tock, you interloping moose! I'm out! I'm out! My neck is bright! I rule with an iron fist! Get in here! I ain't paying for you to stand around! Tick-tock, tick-tock, you interloping moose! I'll flatten you for what you've done! For what you've done! I'm out! I'm out! My neck! I'm gonna give you till the count of 10. 1, 2, 10! I'll flatten you for what you've done! Tick-tock, tick-tock, you interloping moose! Say hello to all my friends! I'll flatten you for what you've done! Time out! Time out! My neck is private property! I'm gonna give you till the count of 10. 1, 2, 10! I'll flatten you for what you've done! Tick-tock, tick-tock, you interloping moose! I'll flatten you for what you've done! Time out! Time out! My neck is private property! Get Get in here! I ain't paying for you to stand around! Oh, you'll be hearing from my attorney!
And there we go. Single question mark the Underpin was taken down on merely my second attempt. The Underpin himself dropped a goblin jetpack and a robot goblin pet, and of course, Bran's hat for the quest. I rushed back to the Delver's headquarters to return Bran's hat, and in return he granted me his spare hat.
Keep your eyes on the horizon.
Punches, lucky goes en route.
So now, not only did I have a hat toy to give to others, I now had a hat that I could wear myself. The second quest for the hat was completed. But I still haven't defeated the double question mark version of the Underpin, and I haven't gotten the Overcharged Delve achievement. There's still so much to do. I raced back to the Demolition Dome to see if I could just get a gauge on how difficult the Underpin was going to be. However, when attempting to select double question mark difficulty, I was greeted with the message, requires completion of a tier 10 delve with lives remaining. A month before this, I would not have been too happy to see this. However, in the month-long break from doing delves on Gruffshot, I had been engaging in other pieces of content in the game, including participating in the raid for the season. So at this point, I believed that my item level could perhaps handle going beyond tier 8. What better way to test this than heading to one of Undermine's new delves, Side Street Sluice, which I did at tier 9. This version of the delve was fairly simple. Clear out the hostile Dark Fuse goblins, and recover a teleportation device hidden within a chest. Device in hand, all that remained was taking out the goblin leader. Even with how high this delve's tier was, the gear coming from the chest was not better than anything I already had. On the bright side, that delve did happen to be an overcharged one, so I had completed the quest to upgrade my disc belt's item level. It was a small change of only 3 item levels higher, but better is better. That quest was also a little old by that point, so there was another quest to accept immediately after it to bump up the item level just a little more. In order to unlock double question mark the Underpin and get the belt upgrade simultaneously, I decided the next delve I would do would be a tier 10 overcharged one. The other overcharged delve of the day was Skittering Breach. Before heading to it, I transferred a bunch of Titan disc shards that I had acquired on other characters to Gruffshot. Inside Skittering Breach, an Arathi Lamplighter tasked me with defeating Dark Fuse goblins that had unleashed several cursed relics, and sealing those relics back away. Once that was completed, I had to face a monster that I'm still not going to try to pronounce the name of. After this delve, I found that I was already pretty deep into the skill tree thanks to all the shards from alts. Back to Dagran in the headquarters, I was rewarded with another 3 item level boost to the belt, and another quest to do for one final upgrade. But who cares about upgrading belts when I can start throwing myself at double question mark the Underpin? Let's just get this out of the way now. Unlike Zekvir, the Underpin's mechanics are more readily apparent when doing the fight initially. I had most of them down from just the 2 attempts that I had done in single question mark difficulty, and the rest of them I learned from some quick research. The Underpin's simplest ability is Crush. A circle will be marked somewhere in the arena, and after a brief delay, the Underpin will jump to it and deal a devastating amount of damage, and it supposedly stuns the player if they survive the impact. As far as I can tell, the only change to this ability in double question mark difficulty is increased damage. The Underpin's next ability is Flamethrower. which, similar to Zekvir's Claw Smash, is a cone shape. The Underpin will charge up the flamethrower and then unleash it on the cone. This deals a noticeable amount of damage on its own, but also applies a 5-second debuff that does more damage over its duration. Again, in double question mark, this just seems to deal higher damage. The Underpin next has the ability Time Bomb Launcher, which launches 5 time bombs into the arena. The time until they detonate is shown as a slowly filling circle above them, while near the end of their lifespan they will also show their blast radius. Getting near them will show a blue arrow on the opposite side of the player. By interacting with them using either the mouse or the interact key, they can be kicked away to control the area being covered by the explosions. Double question mark does not add more time bombs to each volley, but again likely makes their explosions hit harder. The Underpin next can call in 3 goblin minions called cronies. These cronies will appear on the outside edges of the map, typically in spots closest to the Underpin. The cronies will alternate between using 2 abilities. The first is Molten Cannon. Molten Cannon first puts down a red line, originating from the crony and aimed at the player's current location. After a few seconds of charging up, the crony will then fire a large orange projectile that follows the line until exiting the arena. The projectile does massive amounts of damage and has a significant knockback that can and will put you at risk of the Underpin's other abilities. In between Molten Cannon shots, the cronies will also use an ability named Shoot. This ability simply shoots an unavoidable projectile that does very little damage. The damage per shot does seem to increase as the fight goes on. It's easy enough to handle if just a few cronies are using it, but if you neglect to deal with the cronies as they spawn, the damage from Shoot can get out of hand pretty easily. After defeating a crony, they will turn into a pile of flaming wreckage. This wreckage is simply a stationary hazard that deals damage if you stand too close, and despawns after about a minute and a half. The wreckage also blocks new cronies from spawning in that specific spot, so the Underpin can end up calling more in, and they will be split up by wreckage and harder to AoE down. In double question mark difficulty, the Underpin instead summons 5 cronies which have increased health and hit harder. Finally, the Underpin has the ability Divert Energy to Shields. This ability starts to trigger when the Underpin is under 80% health. It can then be tracked by the blue energy bar under his health bar. Once he reaches 100% of the blue energy, he activates a shield that simply has to be broken. When the shield breaks, the Underpin's mech will eject some kind of oil that makes the ground around where the shield was broken difficult to move precisely on. Double question mark difficulty adds another layer to this ability by giving it a 15-second timer. If the shield is not broken when the timer is up, the Underpin will regain up to 25% of his health. The double question mark version of the Underpin has one additional ability that is not shared with his easier counterpart. That ability is Mega Cluster Munitions. Not to be confused with the time bombs, this ability has the Underpin throwing a cluster of bombs into the air. These bombs will then rain down on the arena, with orange swirls denoting where they will impact. While small, these bombs explode instantly upon impact, and in most cases are deadly. When not using these abilities, the Underpin pursues the player intent on doing melee damage. As far as I can tell, this damage was around 30% of my maximum health in double question mark difficulty, meaning that if other abilities already had me low, a melee attack would often come in to finish the job. So, how do I counter all of these abilities with Gruffshot's Beast Mastery Hunter Toolkit? With the way I have him set up, Gruffshot has 2 vital movement abilities. The first is Aspect of the Cheetah, which increases movement speed for a short time, but has a 3-minute cooldown. Second is Disengage, which causes me to quickly leap backwards, with only a 20-second cooldown. Another vital ability that I will need to use in case of emergencies is Aspect of the Turtle. Aspect of the Turtle completely negates several sources of damage, but also has a 3-minute cooldown. Think of it as an 8-second Mario invincibility star. For putting out extra damage, I have Bestial Wrath. which increases me and my pet's damage for a short time, and has a 1.5 minute cooldown. I also obviously have all of my normal shorter cooldown abilities that output damage, restore health, and increase my defense, but the abilities that I named are the big tickets to success in this fight. Crush is a relatively small circle that the Underpin takes quite a while to even jump to after it appears. This makes simply walking out of it a trivial matter. If not, it can be escaped using Disengage, ran out of using Aspect of the Cheetah, or blocked using Aspect of the Turtle. Flamethrower at least some of the time has a chance of being directed at Bran instead of being directed at the player. If directed at Bran, it will usually be easier to dodge since he's usually on the other side of the Underpin. If it does aim towards you, it's good to keep in mind that it is a cone shape. The smaller end of the cone is at the Underpin, so remaining close to him means you will be well positioned to walk out of it. If deeper into the cone, you can use Disengage or Aspect of the Cheetah to get out, or Aspect of the Turtle to block it. Additionally, unlike with Zekvir's Claw Smash, the arena for the Underpin is large enough that it is possible to run out of range of Flamethrower instead of dodging it. The time bombs have a long timer before they actually detonate, so you should have plenty of time to get out of their blast radius. If you end up near the bombs themselves, you can kick them away to get that radius further from you. Just like with everything else so far, in an emergency the bombs can be dodged using the movement abilities, or blocked with Aspect of the Turtle. But there is a way to make the bombs go completely away so that they are not a danger to you at all, and that is by using them to deal with the Underpin's cronies. While kicking the time bombs at the Underpin does nothing, kicking a time bomb at a crony will cause that crony and cronies that are within 2 slots to take a considerable amount of damage. In single ? This is faster than AoEing down the 3 cronies, but in double ? Mastering the kicking of time bombs at cronies is essential. While the cronies are alive, making sure to look both ways before crossing the molten cannon paths can save your life. If needed, you can use the movement abilities to cross the paths quicker, or use Aspect of the Turtle to negate their damage. Their shoot ability is unavoidable, just making sure there aren't dozens of cronies shooting you simultaneously is all you can do to minimize its damage. For the Underpin's last damaging ability, the impact points of Mega Cluster munitions can start to get difficult to see as the arena fills with orange and red fiery explosions, so paying extra attention to where you walk when they start falling is crucial. Sliding into one thanks to one of the shield's oil spills is a possibility that happened to me more than once. You can use movement abilities to dodge better, Aspect of the Turtle to block. For the Underpin's final ability, Divert Energy to Shields and Recharge, this is where you'll want to stop whatever you're doing and focus all damage on the Underpin. Having abilities that boost damage output like Bestial Wrath will make it a lot easier to burn through the Underpin shield before the recharge completes. Keeping an eye on the shield's energy bar is a big help in not deploying such abilities when a recharge is just around the corner. So, let's put this all into action with attempt 1 of double ? the Underpin.
All that's Undermine belongs to me, the Underpin. Even this sweet hat. I got a deed for these delves signed by Gallywix. Wait, does that say Gallywax? Ah, you know what? It don't matter.
After initiating combat, the Underpin spends a few seconds attempting to melee. He then initiates a crush. A flamethrower targeted at Bran. Mega Cluster munitions. While those bombs are raining down, he uses Time Bomb Launcher. Right after providing the means of their destruction, he summons his first wave of cronies. The group of cronies is somewhat split up where one of them is off on his own, meaning I can't just target the central one to take them all down. It takes 3 time bombs before some of the cronies start to fall into wreckage.
1, 2, head! Ow! you for what you've done!
Elves are coming!
I'm gonna get you to the count of 10. 1, 2, 10! I rule with an iron fist!
A new group of 5 cronies joins the fray. While trying to aim a time bomb at them, I step into some flaming wreckage, and it hurts quite a bit. While walking away from the wreckage and towards another time bomb, I walk onto a molten cannon pathway, and it takes me out. Attempt 1 had gotten down to 82%. There were plenty of clear mistakes that would hopefully be remedied with practice. Attempt 2 was not an improvement, ending at 89%. Attempt 3, however, I got past 82% and reached the Underpin's first shield usage.
I'm out! I'm out!
I failed to pass the damage check against the shield, and he went back up to full health. He killed me moments later when I didn't react fast enough to a flamethrower. He was left with 95%, but in actuality had received 24% worth of damage. Attempt 4 again reached the shield, and this time I passed it. But just a few percentage points later, another flamethrower that I didn't turtle out of took me out with him at 77%, having received 23% damage total. Attempts 5 and 6 ended fairly early on at 95% and 80% respectively. Attempt 7 got down to the first shield, and like Attempt 3, I failed to break it in time. I did then get him down another 7% to 93%, meaning 26% damage to him overall. Attempt 8 ended at 81% to a Mega Cluster Munitions. Attempt 9 reached the first shield and successfully broke it. It then passed the previous best of 77%. I had unfortunately done a horrendous job of positioning and taking out the cronies. This ended up getting me so overwhelmed by the molten cannon targeting lines that I had nowhere to go when a flamethrower was aimed at me. Both aspect abilities were on cooldown, and a disengage came too late. At 73%, I was officially a quarter of the way through the fight. Then was Attempt 10. Like the great runs before it, it successfully passed the first shield. It got well into the 70s, with me doing much better at taking out cronies as they appeared.
I'm gonna give you till the count of 10. 1, 2, 10! Forecast cloudy with a chance of boom! I rule with an iron fist! All kneel before the Underpin. I'm gonna give you till the count of 10. 1, 2, 10! I rule with an iron fist! I'm out! I'm out!
At 66%, the second shield was triggered, and I passed it with time to spare.
Cloudy with a chance of boom! Kid talk, kid, that'll teach you for trespassing. I'll flatten you for what you've done!
Unfortunately, I had let the crony situation get out of hand, leading to my demise from a volley of molten cannons that I haphazardly crossed the path of. Attempt 10 ended with the Underpin at 57%. and attempt 10 would be the best that I got for a while. I made 20 more attempts that day, with only a couple of them making it into the 60s, but none of them entering the 50s again. The most common cause of death in those 20 attempts was molten cannon. I knew that crony management was the part that I was struggling with the most. Little did I know how monumental of a challenge it would be. The next day, I set off to do a few things to maybe get a slight edge against the Underpin. One of these things was Tier 11 Delves. This is because I learned they are actually a source of runed and gilded crests, gear upgrade materials that I was not getting out of any other pieces of content that I was engaging in. First one I did was Side Street Sluice. It was a variant that has already been shown in this video, but since it was the first Tier 11 Delve I had completed, I received the title High Explorer. I next did Excavation Site 9, another one of the new Undermine delves. It is probably the creepiest delve that I've been in so far. It was filled with a bunch of fleshy void monsters that I had to go around defeating. At the end, I had to defeat the fleshiest one of them all. Interestingly, this delve ended up being the 100th delve completed on my account. I then did Skittering Breach, which was also a variant already shown in this video, but it happened to be overcharged and I managed to complete the final Disc Belt upgrade quest because of it. Putting the slightly upgraded armor and belt into action, I headed back to the Underpin. My brief detour did not seem to have had much of an impact, as the first several attempts back were still failing before entering the 50s. But on attempt 45, things were looking good. This attempt finally reached back into the 50s. The Underpin's health kept creeping down, and it went below 57.
Forecast cloudy with a chance of boom! Ain't that a kick in the...
At 52%, he summoned a group of cronies that inexplicably had a 1-slot gap, meaning bombing them down was going to be a pain. A lot of the time bombs currently in play were not inconvenient kicking spots either. My bomb kicking was interrupted when at 50%, he reached enough energy for the 4th shield charge of the fight. I passed that damage check and started taking his health down into the 40s. 2 conveniently placed bombs allowed me to take out the majority of the cronies. And another few were used to take out the straggler, just in time for more to be summoned. This group did the same thing as the last group, though this time the gap was more understandable. At 42%, the Underpin used his 5th shield of the fight. I take another few percentage points off of him while dodging cannons from the cronies, but while I'm doing that, the Underpin jumps to me and starts doing big chunks of melee damage to me. Instead of running away when he stops to use his flamethrower, I maintain a pretty close distance to him. He easily closes the gap and melees me to death. At 38% health remaining, this attempt was several things. Number 1, it was the first run to get the Underpin under half health. Number 2, it confirmed that unlike Zekvir, the Underpin either doesn't have a second phase, or it is triggered at a much lower threshold than Zekvir's was. And number 3, it proved to me that I could beat it. I just needed the stamina to go the distance. Attempts 46 through 55 were another batch of failure. None of them went below 60%, and several of them didn't even make it below 80%. I had to find a way to lighten the load at least enough to be able to consistently get the Underpin below 50%. So, I visited the auction house. The recommended consumables were identical to those in the War Within Season 1, so I picked up some flasks of alchemical chaos and some Belladar's bounties. I won't mention them again, but just know that for the remaining attempts against the Underpin, I was using and refilling these consumables so that they were active for every fight. The first several attempts after buying these consumables, I started to get a little further on average. Sure, you have attempts like 59 where I die at 94%, but you also have runs like 56 and 60 where I'm getting to the low 60s. Attempt 63 got down to 41% before being ended by a molten cannon to the back, and attempt 65 became the third run to go below 50%, before a molten cannon to the face. Another string of bad runs ensued until attempt 73.
I'll make it rain, you'll feel the pain.
Attempt 73 became the fourth run to go below 50%, with a shield charge subsequently happening at 49%. My damage output was just barely enough to squeak past this shield without him healing. A few moments later, at 46%, he summoned in cronies that came in probably one of the worst configurations I ever saw. There was a group of 2, a gap, one alone, a gap, and then another group of 2.
I'll make it rain, you'll feel the pain.
Trying to take out these cronies as the Underpin's abilities pushed me further and further away from them was miserable. So miserable that I didn't even realize that I had pushed him all the way down to a new low of 37% and counting. At 34%, the Underpin initiated a recharge. My damage was not enough. The Underpin jumped back up to 59%. Disheartened, I continued the fight.
Give me till the count of 10. 1. Hey, be careful.
I miraculously survived having only 50,000 health at one point by activating Aspect of the Turtle and running through some health potions. But the attempt ended when a molten cannon hit me right as Turtle wore off. At 48% health remaining, the fight ended. If the heal had not been successful, I'd done enough damage to get him down to 23%. To mitigate the possibility of failing to break the shield, I needed more stats. So I went back to the auction house and considered the other options I had there. First, most if not all pieces of gear can have an enchantment applied to them. I went through and grabbed Storm Rider's Fury for my weapon, Chant of Winged Grace for my cloak, Crystalline Radiance for my chest, Chant of Armored Avoidance for my bracer, Scout's March for my boots, and Radiant Haste for both of my rings. I also grabbed a Stormbound armor kit made by Leatherworkers for my leg armor. All of those things I applied immediately and were in effect from run 74 onwards. I also got something called Algari Mana Oil that can be applied to weapons in addition to enchants, but I forgot to start applying it until attempt 80. Between attempts 74 and 99, not a single run went below 50%. Attempt 75 would have, but the newly gained stat boosts did not seem to be effective at helping break one of the later shields in that run. In fact, attempts 75, 86, 94, 98, and 99 all failed to break shields fast enough. 94 and 98 in particular did not even succeed in breaking the first shield. After attempt 75, the closest of this batch to getting below 50% was attempt 97, but it ended with exactly 50% health remaining. Attempt 100 brought about the return of decent looking runs, getting down to 39%. A couple runs later, attempt 102 got to 48%, and a few runs after that, attempt 106 got to 49%. This still isn't consistent, but it is getting better on average. Then, attempt 107. Attempt 107 had a shield initiated at 56%. It was unfortunately successful, bumping the Underpin back up to 81%. However, I stuck with that run and got him all the way down to 45% before a Molten Cannon knocked me into a Mega Cluster munitions. Doing the math, if the heal hadn't been successful, this run would have hit 20%. Attempts 108 through 112 were a mixture of good runs that went pretty far, and horrible runs that didn't even make it to the first shield. Then came attempt 113. This run was doing pretty average. The shields weren't putting up too much trouble, but the crony summons were not very favorable. But this run got all the way into the 30s. At 36%, a recharge was initiated.
Help, hang in there.
My neck is bright.
And it was taken out with plenty of time to spare. At 34%, a close call with death occurred, but some well-timed dwarven medicine saved it. At 32%, I was right in the line of fire for a flamethrower, but Aspect of the Turtle was luckily available, and I used it to tank some hits while dealing with cronies.
I'm gonna get out of teach you for trespassing.
Another flamethrower, this time escaped using disengage. Using the speed boost after disengage, I lured the Underpin over to where some cronies had spawned earlier to try to get some time bombs near them. Before doing that, the Underpin started a recharge at 28%.
I'm out.
Easily broken when the cast had barely passed halfway.
I'm gonna give you till the count of 10. 1, 2, 10! I'll flatten you for what you've done!
At 23%, I used the Hunter Ferocity pet ability Primal Rage, which increases my pet's, and Brand's haste for 40 seconds. This, at the time, was to take advantage of an ability called Killer Instinct, which increased the damage of one of my primary abilities against enemies below 35% health. This ability has changed since I was attempting this fight, but that doesn't really matter.
Get in here! I ain't paying for you to stand around!
The Underpin was pushed below 20%.
Tick-tock, you interloping moose! I'll make it rain, you'll feel the pain!
Then 15%.
I'll flatten you for what you've done!
He then started aggressively attempting to go for melee attacks. I only survived because he started a shield at 12%. But then I probably busted through it too fast instead of trying to heal up or get some distance between us. He came out of the shield, I got a few more hits on him down to 9%, and he kept slamming me with melee.
Rise in property!
Keepers preserve you.
9%. Just like with Zekvir, the first attempt to go to single digits ended at the highest possible of those digits. The Underpin hadn't had a single successful heal, and I managed to fumble it at the end just by standing too close. Attempt 114 went to 55%, attempt 115 went to 28%, and then it was just a cascade of failure after failure. Between attempt 116 and 143, only one attempt reached below 50%. You know, who needs to kill the Underpin? there's definitely not 24 hours left until I have to pay $15 to keep making attempts, and all these attempts are definitely not taking up all my drive space. Okay, it's fine. It is probably possible to do it in less than 100 more attempts. Want to know something cool about attempt 186? At 12%, the Underpin healed all the way back up to 37%, and the attempt ended at 25%, making this the first run where I took off 100% of his health. Want to know something even cooler about attempt 189? At 66%, he healed all the way back up to 91%, and that attempt ended at 17%, making it the first run where I took off more than 100% of his health, 108% to be exact. Attempt 191 became the second attempt to legitimately reach single digits. Let's let it run starting from about 10%.
Stand around! Time out! Time out! My neck is private property! Tick tock, you interloping mooks!
It can't end like this!
Oops, just slipped into a molten cannon path at 4%. Attempt 204 became the third single-digit run. Let's take a look.
I'm gonna give you till the count is 10. 1, 2, 10!
Don't go dying on me!
Well, that time I just walked into the molten cannon. Coming up, attempt 232, the fourth to hit single digits.
I'll flatten you for what you've done! Get in here! I ain't paying for you to stand around! Time out! Time out! Forecast, cloudy with a chance of blow! Tick tock, you interloping mooks! I rule with an iron fist!
It can't end like this!
Ooh, hit by a barrage of crony shots. Coming up, attempt 241, the fifth to hit single digits.
I'm gonna give you till the count of 10. 1, 2, 10! Forecast, cloudy with a chance of boom! I rule with an iron fist! Say hello to all of my friends! Time out! Time out! My neck is private property! Tick tock, you interloping mooks! I'll flatten you! You'll be hearing from my attorney!
Give me a moment, champion.
Oh my goodness. The insane, euphoric relief that I felt at finally taking down the Underpin. I grabbed my prize from his broken mech, and then ran out of the demolition dome happy to never have to see it again. Back in Dornegal, I went to the Rostrum of Transformation, and there it was, my golden Gobtrotter. It had been a tough journey, but I had done it. I had an awesome mount and an awesome hat. But it's not over yet. As previously mentioned, the Overcharged Delves have a skill tree associated with them, and unlocking all skills in that tree rewards an achievement. As of the last Overcharged Delve that I had done, I still had several skills in this tree to unlock. Luckily, there were 2 facts in my favor that would help me finish out this tree. First, unlike Bountiful Delves, the Overcharged modifier is not lost after completing a delve the first time each day. And number 2, the acquisition rate of Titan Disc shards is not affected by the tier the delve was completed on. Combining these two means I can spam tier 1 of an easy, quick to complete Overcharged Delve, and I will easily get the amount required. Of the 2 Overcharged Delves on this day in particular, I chose Fungal Folly and began the grind. I found myself being able to complete a run of it in right around 5 minutes. Unfortunately, I only started running it like 20 minutes before the daily reset. I did 4 runs through it, but since the 4th run ended after the daily reset, the ending chests did not contain any shards. But I was close enough that just one more Overcharged Delve would do it. Of the 2 new Overcharged Delve options, I headed to Skittering Breach. In it, I accidentally became one of the few people to die in a tier 1 delve. Stupid death aside, I breezed through the delve collecting shards. After completing it, I went back to the Overcharged Titan console at the entrance and combined the shards into the final Titan disc. Back in Dornegal, next to the Rostrum of Transformation because why not, I used my reward for the first time. There it was, my Overcharged mech. It had been a tough journey, but I had done it. I had an awesome mount, an awesome hat, and an awesome mount. I don't think I can ride 2 mounts at once. Hey, thanks for watching my video. It's a few minutes shorter than the last one, so hopefully it was more bearable. But yeah, I've been holding on to this footage for a few months now, just waiting for inspiration to strike, and then the last couple weeks of December I just went into overdrive. I'm actually recording this at 2 AM on January 3rd, so I guess a late Happy New Year. The rest of January is going to be pretty busy for me. It's the final few weeks of The War Within, with the Midnight pre-patch starting on January 20th. And I have not even started on the Season 3 Delve boss yet, but hopefully it won't give me as much trouble as these first 2 have. Recording through that fight is probably going to be an ordeal, but who knows, maybe I've outgeared it at this point. I don't know if I'm going to continue this Delve series into Midnight, but I will at least finish it out for this current expansion. There's also the Legion remix stuff that ends the same day that the pre-patch starts, so I've got to finish that, even though I'm not really planning on making any content about it. For some cool news about this channel, while last year we passed the 10-year anniversary of the channel being created, later this month, also on January 20th, will be the 10th anniversary of the first video I ever posted on it. Big news for all the Anoxmaly fans out there. I don't really have anything planned for that anniversary, but I might be cooking something up for a day that happens soon after that. And personally, I've also got my birthday in a couple weeks, so that's cool. All the music you heard throughout is credited in the description. Also down there you should find my other channel, Anoxlongs. I don't do any commentary on that channel, but it is where I play a bunch of games and I use it as a source of footage when I make videos like this. That channel is currently on a little bit of a break, at least for the rest of this month, while I'm dealing with all those things I mentioned. I'll also link the Delve compilation and the Underpin compilation videos down there, if for some reason you want to watch the minimally edited versions of those. And I think that's it. A like on this video if you enjoyed it would be appreciated. Subscribe to stay tuned for the finale of this trilogy, or if you just want to see other videos like this that might be coming down the pipeline. And as always, I'm Anoxmaly, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!